Hello and welcome to Crazy Canuck Trucking. I'm David, the Crazy Canuck, and
I'm Bridget, the Size Matters Dakotan. Together, we're going to spin some yarns about trucking. These will be real stories, some true, some maybe larger than life, and all will be entertaining.
we'll also try to bust some myths or answer any questions you may have about rolling across the asphalt ribbon in North America.
So please turn up the volume, tighten your seatbelts, ignore those around you, and if you're driving, please don't become one of our stories. We are 10-8. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crazy Canuck Trucking's podcast. This is the Size Matters Dakotan, Bridget, and I just wanted to share a couple of things with everybody. First and foremost, welcome. We are so glad you're here. And want to make sure to remind you to go ahead and give us a 5-star rating whenever you can. We really like that. Thank you. And I don't just make my kids feel guilty about not doing those types of things. I can guilt the rest of you too. So don't forget that after you give us that 5-star rating, send us stories to share, comments, things that we can use. That would be awesome. A couple of announcements. There's a new email this week. You can go to crazycanooktrucking@gmail.com if you want to send us things directly, because those stories that you have, experiences on the road, wonderful things that you can share, jokes, funnies, or even something serious. We'd love to hear them. And the Crazy Canuck, David, went ahead and started a new YouTube channel. So it will have audio versions of this podcast because nobody wants to see this mess live. You're just going to have to get the audio on YouTube, folks. And you can get that again at Crazy Canuck Truckin' on YouTube. There's a dash cam video of travels, and we'd really like it if you subscribe over there as well. So that's all the fun things to know. This is in our show notes in case I spoke too fast and you didn't get to write it down because you were busy giving us a 5-star rating. Now, let's get into today. So, David, my co-host and partner, what's going on?
Oh, it's pretty exciting. We didn't, when we started this, we didn't actually think about how many episodes we would do.
We didn't actually think about a lot, David. We did not think about a lot. Let's be real.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true. But today it's episode 5 already. And it is going well. And some people have a hard time figuring out how to listen to podcasts. So I thought, well, why don't we put it on YouTube? And so far I've got 2 of the episodes up there, and I've got a couple of dash cam videos.
People love YouTube, the audio, the video. It's so much fun. And you're right. If you're having a hard time finding the platform in which you like to listen to podcasts, YouTube is a great way to go.
Yeah.
I am going to ask also, David, don't forget to tell me your 1020 today if we're going to use 10 codes.
Oh, yeah. So on our 10 codes, then 1020 is, where are you? Where are you? So my 20 today, as we would say in the truck, because as drivers are driving around, hey, Crazy Canuck, what's your 20? My 20 today is at a XTR gas station in Uppsala, Ontario. That's northwestern Ontario. And your 20, Size Matters, is?
I'm actually home in North Dakota right now. I am just northwest of Fargo, and I am enjoying being at home for a couple of days. It's working out pretty well for me. Glad to hear we're all in places that are nice and sunny and still enjoying summer weather.
And we have something that we wanted to do today with, we've had some comments coming in, and I think it's about time we tell people or share some of these comments that people have been sending us. So why don't you start off, Size Matters, and give us one of the comments?
Well, I have a friend named Hank Wade, and he's on Twitter at Hank Wade. And Hank wanted to let us know that he had just finished episode 4 of the podcast when we had Sammy Wagnus as our guest, superfan Sammy over on another podcast. And
Sammy
he just
Snacks.
said, that's right. So we had Sammy Snacks, and he said it was the best one yet. It was great work. What have you heard back, Dave?
Well, I have heard from a friend of mine. It's a friend of mine that I've known for, I don't know, probably since I was 12, 12 years old or so. I asked him what he thought of the episodes so far, and his name is Tim McNutt. He's from Detroit, Michigan, Detroit area. I don't think he's in Detroit, but so he says, I listened to the first two. I find it very interesting. I think people who don't understand what truckers go through when out there on the highway, what they face. I've always had respect for truckers when driving to try to give them space. There are some people who will just pull out and not give any thought to the truck driver and what predicament that puts them in. Hopefully they have time to slow down to avoid hitting them. So that was thanks to Tim McNutt from Detroit area.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tim. What else have you heard, David?
I have heard we have a very special guest today.
Tell me more about her.
Guest.
I heard her 1020's Winnipeg, so she's pretty close to me right now.
Yep.
Tell me about her.
Well, her name is Angel Anderson, and she is the wife of a trucker I used to run with on the ice. He and I ran in some of the same areas, but we didn't know each other until we were on the ice. And we met up on the ice, found out we're from not too far away from each other. So I would like to welcome Angel Anderson to our show. Welcome, Angel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So tell us about yourself. Tell us something.
Gosh, that is a big question. So my husband was Dale. He passed away suddenly 4.5 years ago. He was a fantastic guy. I'll tell you about his trucking career probably down throughout the podcast, I imagine. We'll have lots of trucking talk. We were living up in Thompson when it happened, so I have since moved to Winnipeg and live in Winnipeg. I'm a CPA, so certified professional accountant. I work from home, which is quite fantastic. I am also a photographer. I focus on showcasing the beauty of Manitoba, which is my home province. And so I sell my photos on like Northern Lights, polar bears in Churchill, flowers, farm life sort of photos. And I'm writing a book. I am writing a book about grief and how to show up for someone who is grieving. Obviously, I have a lot of insight into that topic, having lost Dale at such a young age. He was 45 when he passed away, and so I was widowed at the age of 43. And yeah, it's a really hard topic for, not topic, but it's really hard for someone to know how to show up for someone who is grieving. Until you've experienced it, you don't know what to do. And so that's the main focus of my book, is sort of a how-to guide on how to show up for someone who is grieving.
Well, that's actually one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on, Angel, because I believe you have something to share with other people, not just truckers or trucker spouses. I didn't know you until after Dale passed away. I knew of you, and it is a tough topic. How do you approach somebody who's lost a loved one? Is there any short answer to that? I don't think there is, but what can you tell us?
Probably not a short answer. And the part that's hard is that we're all different. So what I think is an appropriate way or how I want to be approached might be different than someone else in the same situation. I find it's best to ask. Like, one of the main things is hard to know if you should talk about their person or not. I personally love hearing stories about Dale. I talk about him often. I encourage his friends to text me if they think of a story, or I've had some of Dale's trucking friends that are passing by a location where maybe they first met, or just like a memory came up at a truck stop where they had coffee or something like that. I love getting those messages, just knowing that he's still coming to mind in his friends' lives and friends and families' lives. That's how I feel. I don't think that I don't speak for everyone who's lost somebody that they love, but maybe some people that is hard to hear memories. For me, you're not reminding me that Dale died. Trust me, I will never forget that. It's always in my mind every day. But you're reminding me of how he lived. And so I love hearing those stories and love hearing his name being mentioned.
So I have a question.
Sure.
If I could, David.
Yeah.
Tell me about Dale. I mean, you light up when you talk about him, and that you want to hear the stories. What are the things that you want to make sure I know about Dale, because I never met him?
Right. He was just such a great guy. Like, he was the guy that everybody loved. He was so joyful and easygoing and had like the best laugh and a great smile, and just an overall nice guy. Like, he loved the ice road. That's one of the things that, because I think he just made such good friends up there, and just like that camaraderie amongst the guys. Met like a lot of great guys, but he just, if anyone says anything about him, it was just like about his personality, just that he was just so nice and kind and would do anything for anybody, and just, yeah, super great guy. And we were together forever. Like, we started dating when I was 18, he was 20. So grew up in, like, not high school sweethearts, but grew up in, like, our towns were about 10 miles apart. So always knew each other, but just never made that connection until after high school. And yeah, so we had a really great life. I'm glad that we got together that early, because we had 25 years together, which was awesome. I would definitely have loved to have a lot more. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
What really endeared me to Dale was sometimes at a location like up on the ice, many people are happy to get away from home, happy to get away from their spouse or their family or whatever. And Dale stood out like a giant to me, that he never, ever said anything derogatory or disrespectful towards you, Angel, and towards other family back home. Every time he talked, it was with nothing but respect and love. And the second thing that really stood out to me was you and him decided you would never wait to experience things together. You always made sure to do the special things together without waiting until the right time, so to speak.
Yeah, thanks. I love that. Hearing that. We were really, I never thought that we would end up being best friends in a marriage. That I just didn't think that was normal for husband and wife to be that way. But we absolutely respected each other and never spoke badly of each other, which I think that was like one of our core values. And we worked hard at our marriage, and we had lots of fun together. As far as doing things, I love to travel. I travel all the time now, as much as I can. And Dale wanted to do a trip, like, just sort of every other year, but somehow, like, I just kept planning a trip the next year, and he just kept going along with it. So it worked out good. We had quite a few vacations together, which was great. Yeah. And, we always, we had lots of friends who, like, had big groups that would go on vacations, and Dale wasn't down for that. Like, it was just always just the two of us that we went on vacation, because it was our time away just to enjoy each other. And we loved exploring. We often went to, like, Caribbean destinations. Yeah, exploring and fishing and just hanging out, having a good time.
Yeah.
So knowing, the little bit that I do here, and how did you decide you wanted to write a book about grieving and how to help others help someone grieve?
Well, I've been very open on Facebook about the things that I've been experiencing. Maybe not so much. This one thing that I've learned is it's a lot easier to talk about what I have been through versus what I'm currently going through. So once I've already made it to the next level, I'm able to talk about what I've been through. Like when I was, those first few months were so dark and so horrific. I would never wish that on anybody. And I didn't, I had my circle of people that I talked to, but I never really let on how bad it was in those early months. But once I kind of moved beyond that, and like the first whole year actually was really rough, but the first few months were absolutely the worst. Once I moved beyond that, I was able to start talking about it more, and I shared a lot on Facebook. So anytime, and I continue to do that. It's been 4.5 years since he passed away. So every wedding anniversary of Dale's death, his birthday, whatever it is, I always do a Facebook post about it and like share about something about Dale, something about my grief process, and just like the feedback and comments that I've gotten have been so interesting to learn about what people are taking away from what I've shared. And just that process of sharing all of that has made me think like, you know what, people don't know what to do and they need help. And so my book will be like, it'll share some at the beginning, it'll share about Dale's and my story and just talk about him and our life together, and sort of what qualifies me to write a grief book, and what I went through personally. And then it'll be like real tangible things that you can do or say, or definitely not what not to say. I have a huge list of what not to say things. And so it'll be
only imagine.
Yeah, people say some really dumb things, and they're trying so hard to say the right thing that they really end up saying the wrong thing. And it's also that not so much like sometimes it might just be a one-off, but the thing is you hear it so many times that it really becomes super annoying and frustrating. So it's going to be like not a humongous book. Like my plan is like super simple to read, because I want it to be a resource that someone's like, oh, a friend of mine just lost somebody and I need to show up for her in some way. And so you can just grab this book, flip to that chapter on like, here's some things that you can do, here's some things that you can say. Like it'll be very easily laid out like that. It's interesting. And I'm going to do so it's not just going to be about my experience. I'm working currently on a survey that I'll send out. I have a list of people that are already interested in it, and I'll just share it through Instagram and Facebook. And if you're interested in the survey, I have my personal Instagram is Ms. Angel Anderson. And so people can message me there if they want to get involved with the survey. And so it's just going to be about that person, whoever's completing the survey, about what their experience was with grief. So if that person has lost several people in their lives, I actually want them to fill out individual surveys, because I want the survey to be specific about that loss, like who that person was to them, like sort of their whole grieving process. And every time you lose somebody, I imagine that grieving process is different. Just, depending on what's going on in your life. One of the biggest things that I learned that like is definitely going to be a chapter in the book is called the circles of grief. And so in my situation with Dale, like imagine that I'm the center circle. And then the next circle out would be Dale's mom and maybe his sisters. And then the next circle out would be maybe my family. And then the next circle out would be Dale's friends and my friends. And so the thing about this, the circles of grief is you comfort in and grieve out. So nobody should be comforting in or grieving into somebody who's closer to the loss. And that's something that I did experience a few times, that's why it was so important to me to write about that, is I want to know like that people are, that they miss Dale, and that he was a big part of their lives. But explain it to, if you're talking to me as the center of the circle in this case, or as the widow, I don't want to hear about how broken your heart is on losing Dale, is because my heart was shattered. So I want to know something about Dale. Like, I don't want to hear about your feelings about losing Dale, because like that's a grieving in, and you can say that, just not to somebody who's closer into the center of the circle. So I found that when I learned the circle of grief, it was mind blowing. Like, it just like is so succinct in just having a way to think about like who to talk to about who you're grieving.
Because you and Dale had so much time together, tell me about, as the wife of a guy who's out doing ice road trekking, and what are some tips and tricks, if you will, for some of those wives whose husbands are gone an awfully long time? What are things that you did before Dale was gone that were really helpful? And you said you really worked on your marriage and you did great things together. And I want to hear about that too, because I hope that's a celebration of Dale's life, the great things that you all did beforehand.
Yeah, for sure. The first year he went on the ice road, oh man, that was so hard. So he was gone 10 weeks, it ended up being. And I thought that was like the worst thing possible at that time. It was so hard, but it was good. Like really absence truly does make the heart grow fonder. So he was a truck driver and gone away from home for like a week at a time. I think that's important. Like, if you're having like an argument, I mean, we didn't have a perfect marriage. Like, we definitely disagreed on things, but just him going away for a week, or I mean, like going on the ice road or whatever, it gives you that opportunity to reset, right? It's like if you wake up every day in the same situation, it is easy to keep those emotions, like if you're in an argument about something, keep those going. But just having that time apart, it just allows you to reset and come back with a fresh new perspective on it. Him going away to the ice roads, like thankfully that it was the day of like smartphones where we could FaceTime, and so I don't know what, like I can't imagine like not seeing his face at that time for 10 weeks. Or not being able to talk. So, we texted when we could, and, whenever he had Wi-Fi on, like if he was at one of the stops on the ice road. And it helped that he just loved it so much. Like, how could I deny him that opportunity? I think he did the ice road 5 years in a row. I'm pretty sure it was 5. And he just loved it so much. And, it was a growth time for me as well. Like, I had to do stuff that I would normally have just left to him to do, right? And so it really was a good opportunity. Like, I remember having to change my windshield wipers, and like YouTube is a beautiful thing, right? I had to change my headlight. It's like, and he was like, well, you can take it to the shop. It's like, I probably figure it out, right? Like, so I'd be in the garage with YouTube on my phone and trying to like figure out how to change the light bulb in my car or whatever it was. So we lived at Paint Lake, which is just outside of Thompson. So we lived in a provincial park, and so had a wood stove. So it was like, I kept the wood fire going, but it's just like, it wasn't just for a week, it was for 10 weeks, right? So it's like constantly filling up the wood box and like doing all of those things that, it was a growth time for me as well.
Did he ever sing that song to you, She Keeps the Home Fires Burning?
I totally thought of that too.
I was definitely the singer in the family. Like, he was not so much of a singer.
Yeah, I don't remember Dale singing. We probably would have shut him down.
Yeah, no, I know when a song would come on the radio, we had this rule in the car, or whenever we were driving anywhere together, whoever was driving got to pick the music. But to his dismay, maybe, I like his music as well. So like, he would be listening to like 80s rock, and I can sing to anything, right? And I wouldn't even know it. I would catch him looking at me when he was driving. I was like, oh, was I singing again? I'm sorry. Sometimes you just got to sing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Angel, usually we come up with a CB handle for people. And honestly, when I was thinking about it coming up to this today, I can't change your handle. I think we'll stick, the CB handle is going to stay Angel because I think that's who you are. That describes you very well. And I think that that can be your nickname and your name and everything all rolled in one.
It is a
How
bit of a
does that
strange
sound?
name for sure, but yeah, that's good. I don't know what Dale had for a CB name. Like definitely one of his nicknames was Stan because his middle name was Stanley after his grandpa. So that was a name that he got called a lot.
He was really, really loved up there. Everybody loved Dale. Um, it was, I know when I got the news in January 2016, right?
Yeah.
It was somewhere around the middle of January.
The 14th. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about ready to get up or to go up on the ice, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I think I heard it from Ben Avern, and you know Ben, you've met
Mm-hmm.
with him, and he ran with Dale more than I did, and he's like, Dale passed away. I'm like, what? And so he and I, before I left home, we made up in memoriam stickers to put on our trucks, and I think you got the last of those. So we gave them out to all Dale's buddies running up the road, running up the ice. There's they had it was a hot commodity, but we wouldn't just give them to anybody because we wanted to honor and respect his name and his legacy. And so only those that we felt worthy were allowed to have those. We just didn't tell anybody that's actually what was happening.
I love that. When you guys, I don't know who it was that first told me about the stickers, but and that's just a tribute to who Dale was, that like guys would want to put a decal on their truck for him. And yeah, I thought that was like such an amazing idea that you guys had for that. And I have
Yeah.
friends that live in Yellowknife, and so they sent me pictures a couple times of trucks that they saw on around town that had the decal
Yep.
for in memoriam of Dale, which was super awesome.
Yeah. His picture's up in the dispatch office as well,
Yes,
along
Ben
with
sent me a picture of that like a
yeah,
couple years ago. That was pretty great.
along with the other friends that have passed on that were
Mhm.
ice road truckers.
Yeah.
I really understand what you're saying, Angel, when you said you love hearing the stories. This,
Yes.
especially if there was maybe something that you didn't know. And to those who are listening, I'm going to ask for Angel's advice if this is the right thing. But I can say that it was good for my family when we lost my dad. And when we had people stop and tell us or send us cards with stories of him, especially things that we hadn't heard yet, it was so much fun. Really loved it. And that has become a thing that I really try to do is if I'm sending or going to a funeral and I'm going to drop off a card, or if I'm sending the card, I want to write some sort of a story in there about that person because I now realize what it means to the family. And I think you just validated that for me.
So good. That's so great because you're making it about the person. Like the more you can take yourself out of it, the better it is. Like as someone who's trying to comfort someone who's grieving, right? You need to like take all the eyes out. Like, I'm feeling this. It's like you don't care about you, like the outside person to the grief, right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Like I try and do that as well. Like anytime somebody's lost someone, like in reaching out to them is just just sharing like something about that person's personality, or just like that they were always so happy and easygoing, just like whatever you can say. Like I think that that's just so great. And if you can even like also like one of the things that I loved, not that I needed that validation, but it was also just like really sweet for people to say like a couple of my nieces said, like, we always looked up to you and Uncle Dale, just like as like having like such a great marriage, and you always had fun together, right? And it was just like so touching to know that like what we were just living our best life together, but that was something that was noticed by people who were just starting out in their relationships. Yeah, really sweet.
Wow, I've learned so much today. I mean, I've known how you've approached some of this a little bit, Angel, because we've talked before, but the depths of what you're explaining here is just honestly blowing my mind. Like,
I couldn't agree more. And I'm so glad that you mentioned your Instagram handle. I hope that people find that in the show notes and join the followers that you have so that they can participate in the survey. But additionally, then buy your book, because it's a little bit like grief etiquette. And good Lord, guys, we can all use a little bit more etiquette these days. So why not do things right and help others feel good? Just a thought.
yeah.
It's really a book that everybody needs at some point. Like, you're always going to know somebody who is grieving. And I've had a lot of people over the past few years who have reached out to me, like where just had some really good conversations. Like one of my friends, her dad passed away. And so I was able to give her perspective on some of the things that her mom might be experiencing. And that was so eye-opening for her. And it really helped her to show up better for her mom, because you're automatically, I've seen it myself, right? Where automatically want to, like, her mom was still on the farm and like, we should put the house up for sale and get you moved into town. And I was just like, you know what? She's already lost everything. She's lost her love. She's lost the future with that person. You know, she's lost her best friend, her financial partner, just like so many different levels of her life. Like, don't force that person to give up their home that they shared with that person, right? But some people want to move out soon. I think one of the things I do want to talk about, not so much as the showing up for somebody, but just speaking to the grievers themselves, is like, be kind to yourself and be gentle. I can't stress that enough. Like, I've had people who I've reached out to who have lost somebody, and they're trying to find the rainbows of that person passing, and it's like the person just passed away, and it's like, holy, slow down. Like, you can just be sad. You don't need to be looking for, I say, finding the rainbows, because that's really one of my pet peeves, that people want to find the rainbows, and it's like, oh, he's in a better place, or lots of dumb things. I think that people just want to cheer you up, but you need to realize that you can't, nothing that you're going to say is going to cheer that person up. So just don't try. Like, just mirror what they're experiencing and just be there for them.
I really love something you said, and that was, you know, your marriage wasn't exactly perfect. And there were moments that weren't awesome, I'm sure. And I think it's very easy that when someone passes away to try to elevate them to sainthood, even though they probably weren't.
Right.
I mean, I'm really hoping, because I know I'm not, so I'm really hoping people tell the truth later. So I think that's important too. You know, just what you said, don't go chasing those rainbows, and just be honest.
I think it's also important to live your life that you can live without regrets. Like, I that's one of the biggest blessings, is that in losing Dale, that I didn't regret a single thing that we did in our lives. Like, I don't wish that I would have told him I love him more, because I said it enough, right? Like, I never once thought after losing him, like, I wish we would have loved each other more. Like, I never had any of those regrets, which I think helped me so much in my healing, that I don't have that. But I think definitely people do have that. So I think it's important to live your life how you want to have your life. Like, it's important to have your actions mirror what your goals are.
I could easily say I have enjoyed this conversation tremendously. I'm hoping that once you have your book together, we do this again. and
Yeah, that
talk
would be
about what's
amazing.
next. That would be
Yeah.
so much fun. So
I, I
just
want
thank
to
you.
I want to change direction a little bit. Um, did you ever go with Dale on any trips, or do you have any memories driving with him in the truck, or did you keep the home fires burning all the time?
I did. We drove. I remember one vivid memory is driving from Thompson to Winnipeg. I think we were coming down to maybe even Brandon for his family get together. We did this every fall. All of his aunts and uncles and Dale's mom and siblings, we would all get together there every year. And it was super important for Dale. We lived, 9-10 hours away from Brandon. And I don't even know how many we would have missed. Like maybe one year we missed, but it was really a high priority for him that we attend that, and we did. And so once he owned his own semi, which was probably maybe for the last 4 or 5 years, he owned his own semi. So he would often get a load down, which was great. And I remember thinking it was like the best thing. I would hop in the semi with him because it had the sleeper and it had a microwave and a fridge, and I didn't have to drive because I'm not driving the semi, and I could microwave something for lunch, and I was laying in the bunk. I had a nap. I was reading my book. It was just like, it was really quite posh for me. And I just
Yeah,
remember messaging friends about it. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I just want this to be my new form of travel. Like, you're not all cramped up in a passenger seat trying to have a nap. And yeah, it was a pretty good deal. I never went to North with him though. Like, I wish in some ways I should have gone to like Gillum or someplace like that north of Thompson, but the roads are just so rough. And he's just like, you're not really going to enjoy it that well. So,
yeah.
He was a smart man.
yeah, not very good roads. Yeah.
I'm really extremely thankful that I met Dale and that I spent time with Dale. It was always at the end of the season. You always have a dinner together with your favorite buddies, the ones that lasted and the ones that you wanted to spend time with, because we would spend, weeks and weeks of time with just a limited number of people, and you quickly realize there's only a few that you wanted to spend your last meal together with.
That makes sense.
And Dale was always in that. Ben Avern was always in that, and a couple other guys, and it was always such a blessing. And the last year, Dale and we spent some time together, even when we had some shutdowns. And he really was somebody I looked up to. Even though I was a little bit older, I felt that he was somebody I needed to look up to. And people there loved him too. They gave him good runs and looked after him well.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. He definitely, he enjoyed, and he definitely made some really great friends there and spoke well. I remember him speaking of you, or even just being in the room when you and him were having a conversation. But you and I had never talked until after he passed away. But he was definitely the guy who would, like, if you had a breakdown on the ice or whatever, like, he would give somebody extra fluid or chains or whatever. Like, he would never leave somebody stranded. And in fact, like, I remember him phoning and just being so mad because how somebody was treated. It was not how he would have treated that person, right? And that would just be so upsetting for him. That was one of his frustrations sometimes.
The last time I tried to meet up with him, I was in Thompson, and I was at his terminal where he was pulling a lot of freight out of, and he had arranged for me to stay there, and we were going to meet up for, I don't know, dinner or breakfast. I think it was dinner. It was in the evening, or a snack or something. We were going to meet up, and ended up he couldn't because another buddy had a problem with his snowmobile. So he was getting on his snowmobile to go and rescue that person. And he was all apologetic. I'm like, Dale, just look after the guy that's out stranded with a snowmobile. Of course, that's what you're going to do. Of course, I we'll meet up again. And we didn't, but yeah, no regrets. It was very good. I really appreciate, actually the day I called you to ask you about this interview was Dale's birthday.
Yes.
And I didn't even realize that. You thought I was calling to talk about Dale's birthday, and I had no clue till later. I got home and I'm looking at Instagram and I was like, hey.
Yeah. It was actually his 50th birthday that day. Yeah, he would have been 50. Yeah.
I don't know why. It was just one of those things. I was like, I should talk to Angel. And I did. And I guess that was a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, more than anything, thank you for talking with us.
Yes.
For sure. It's been super interesting. I didn't know what we were exactly going to be talking about, but I can talk about anything pretty much.
We're
Frankly,
always
Angel,
off the wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, frankly, Angel, neither did we. So it worked out perfect.
Yeah.
I am glad to hear that everybody is still safely in their 1020. Hopefully by the end of this podcast, our listeners got to theirs as well.
Yeah, hopefully, again, as usual, if anybody has any questions or comments, get a hold of us. We can pass you on to Angel if it's questions about death or questions about PTSD or anything like that. You can message me, and questions about weeds, you can ask Bridget.
That's right. And not the
food.
weed, but like I'm talking noxious weeds in the ditch.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
because I just saw
Yes.
Angel is laughing because she's like, you what? So yeah, I'm not talking about the weed. I'm talking about major, like, noxious weeds. So
Good to clarify.
It is. It is. By the way, just so you know, I once had to go find some seeds of various weeds for a plot. And when you Google weed seed, you'd be amazed what comes up. And it's not what you're expecting, to be perfectly honest. So that took me some time to sort through. So to everyone who tuned in today, or whichever day you were able to listen, thank you for making it this far with us. Please contact us for any stories you may want to share. You can be anonymous if needed. Please share, give us 5-star ratings, and stay tuned for more stories. Thank you to Jesse James Dupree and Dixie Incorporated for letting us use their song, It Didn't Fall from the Sky, which, if you haven't listened to it, it's great fun. I really kind of love it. And thank you for listening to us.
Thank you to Jesse James Dupree and Dixie Inc. for letting us use their song, It Didn't Fall from the Sky. I appreciate every one of you that is listening, rating us. Please send in a story or comments. And thank you very much to our fantastic editor, Big T. You all have a great day. Be safe. 10-7.